hello. Hi, Jack. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Lisa. I'm glad you can hang out in the background while we're chatting away today. Hope everyone is having a great day. I am going to do my normal annoying thing, I'm sure, and kind of... It's the same tripod I use for everything, so I always have to adjust it. And I can't adjust it before I go live. Just 'cause. Okay, close your eyes. I also broke it, so it doesn't help matters much. There we go. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I almost said a wonderful Saturday, but it's not Saturday. It is only Friday. Oh, one more thing I forgot. There's always that one more thing. It's like that last minute stuff you got to do at the very last second. Like I had to run. Go to the bathroom before you go live because it could be a problem. Turn the AC down. After that nasty storm and the cold weather we had, now it's a beautiful 81 degrees. I've had the windows open all day and it's just been gorgeous. But I had to shut everything down and turn the air on because otherwise all you guys would hear is the traffic and the ambulances going by. Unfortunately, there's been, I think, 3 or 4 ambulances that went by today. Oh, it's for the replay people. It's 10 minutes to 3, so if you either want to listen to the chitter chatter or fast forward. What was I going to do? I wanted to show you guys some stuff. I don't know what my hands were doing there, but whatever. I'm going to refresh this just to make sure I've got it because it looks like it might be stuck for me. So just give me a second. I was looking at new tablets and Chromebooks and computers today. There we go. I knew there had to be more than just me in the room. There's everybody. My daughter had a tablet that she used for a few years, and then she gave it to me that I've had for a few years, and it finally died yesterday. It's been having a hard time and hasn't been able to charge itself, and it doesn't even want to work when it's plugged in. It all of a sudden decided it no longer wants to recognize the charger and everything, and it just finally died yesterday. It was very sad. So I'm trying to decide if I want to buy a second Chromebook or if I want to get a tablet or what I want to do. What I'm basically going to do is not do anything and wait until the very last second and then make a decision. Because why spend the money right now if you don't have to? Want to see what I've been working on this week? I had fun the other day. I'm just trying to think where I put it. I have to move things around when I go live. There it is. We have a few minutes while we wait for everyone to pop in, and then we'll get started. But I decided, when I was thinking about sending out the postcards to my patrons, I decided that I would start making some fabric postcards about, to go for each month. So I decided February is Valentine's and love and all of that. So I made these 3 reds and a pink. And this has fabric in it that says I love you. It's from, I had an order for bibs and burp cloths probably 8 years ago. And these are the little bit of scraps that left over, and then some of the ones that people sent me. This one right here, when you're making fabric postcards, this is actually flannel. So you can put anything in a postcard. This stuff I bought when Walmart stopped having the yardage, but before they brought the yardage back. So that shows you how old that fabric right there is. And this is from my daughter's first quilt, so that's like 2009 or before. So I made those. I had fun doing those. And then I decided to make some zipper pouches. Now someone sent me this really fun fabric. This has the motorcycles, and look at this one has pizza. I thought that was really, really fun. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And then this zipper pouch, this fabric sold really quick, so I went ahead and I just made another one. These were the weirder size that I don't normally make. So this is about 8.5 by 7, 8 3/4 by 7. So I thought the pizza was really fun. Thank you, Teresa. And then to keep with the February theme, I thought I would just go ahead and make a couple of the little zipper pouches that would work for the red and pink for February. So I made these two. And these are just quilt as you go, just like the fabric postcards. It actually has mostly the same fabrics in it. This one says I love you. And the fun kitchen fabric, and I really love this cherry fabric. So these will all go in the shop tomorrow. So I thought that was fun. Hey Sue, you made it. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. Let's see, well, I have to build up the energy. I was bustling around all day trying to do this, that, and the next thing. And now I'm at that point in the afternoon where you get that slump and you're just kind of like, oh, I don't feel motivated. But once I get chatting with you guys and moving around, I'll get motivated again. I had to do all those fun life things. You know, I had to clean the litter boxes. I had to sweep them up and vacuum the floors and all of those fun things. Hey, as long as the sun is shining, I see that. I feel like that makes a big difference. It can be cold, and if the sun is shining, you're good. But if that wind picks up, that's when it just feels miserable. Oops, excuse me, I yawning. Let me go put these away. So I got pictures and everything done. I just didn't have enough time today to put them in the shop. Is anyone else working on something fun and exciting today? Any big plans for the weekend? Mountain Dew. Lisa, that, whoa. I don't do caffeine, and Mountain Dew would really burn a hole in my stomach. Oh my goodness. A Pepsi wouldn't be bad. I can handle a Pepsi. I can't handle Mountain Dew, and I can't handle Dr. Pepper. There's just something in it. No going out. I wouldn't go out either. I thought you were going to say you're going to the skating rink, Wendy. I'm like, yeah, go skating. That sounds like fun. We lived in like a farmland, so we had like back pastures and back fenced in areas. So even if there weren't any cows in it, there was always like these little bits of low-lying spots, and there'd be frozen ice in it in the winter. So we're talking under the age of 13. So we'd go out, and we thought we were really fancy. We'd skate, and it was probably only, if it was a 5-foot square, it was big. So we would skate around it thinking we were really big shots. Oh yeah, I didn't look and see Bonnie Hunter's mystery quilts. I tried hers once. I don't do very well with mystery quilts. Because I usually work from fabric from stash, I never really pick the right stuff. I can do them afterwards so I can see where each of the color goes, of course, but choosing fabrics like that, I am not good at. Oh, more masks. Round Robin. Oh. Everyone's got something fun going on. My exciting plans for the weekend is I think I'm going to make some more videos. Since I had fun playing and sewing with scraps, now I have to actually buckle down and get some work done. Speaking of work, let's look at what we're going to work on today. I checked the comments really quick before I got on to see if there were any questions, and it looks like everyone's okay. Oh, for free. Oh, thanks, Wendy. I'll go check that out. Jackie, I heard a lot of the schools are going virtual now, either part-time or full-time. Isabel, you made it. Hello. I'm glad I don't have to make the decision with my children, but after these past couple of years and seeing everything that's going on, and hindsight's 2020, I think I probably would have, because I would have the opportunity. We homeschooled our kids before, so pulling them out and doing virtual at home would even be easier than homeschool for me, because someone else has already made all the plan and done everything. The back and forth, it's got to be hard on the kids, especially certain ages. I mean, all ages, of course, but certain age groups react differently for different things. But to be putting them in school and out of school and virtual half the year and part of it this time, and you can eat in the cafeteria, you can't eat in the cafeteria. It's got to be really hard on everybody. All right, oh, excuse me, I'm gonna yawn. Oh, so rude. So this is a snowball block that you guys saw this morning if you watched the video. But I wanted to show you, I whipped this one up just before I came live. I wanted to show you what you can do with a snowball block if you have crumbs. Now these crumbs were already made, I did not whip those up. I just added the black to them. Oh, Jackie, I'm so sorry they're all sick. Exactly, Wendy. No matter which way they go, it's hard no matter what. And if they don't have a little bubble at home to socialize with and everything, and all those learning years, you're not just learning school stuff, you're learning how to be part of a community, and like you said, how to socialize with others and how to deal with different things. So it's really hard. And the kids that didn't get to graduate or have any of those, just those spirit weeks and all that, it's really hard. But I thought I'd show you what it looks like. Let me bring over one of these fancy boards we made. If you have your crumb blocks and you've made them and you decided that they are just too wild and crazy and you can't handle it, you can use this technique to calm everything down, whether you use a black, white, gray, red, whatever. So by adding those four corners to everything, there's threads everywhere too, it seems to mellow it out a little bit. It made this pop a little bit more instead of just being crazy everywhere. So if you did these coordinated in colors, like with my blue, and you did, these are 6.5 inch blocks that I stitched together to be a 12.5. So you could coordinate each block as one color and then put whatever color it is you want as your background on the outside. And I think that calms everything down a lot and settles all, as I said, in your face, popping at you crazy. So now you know what you can do if you have a bunch of your 6.5 inch blocks. I know this isn't the same thing, but you can do that. I thought today we would just go ahead and chit chat a little bit and start with the larger blocks, unless you guys want to see the smaller blocks first. I made two in case we ran into a situation where I already did something and you guys wanted to see it again. Hello, Jeanette. And I also have a little 6.5 inch one. I was going to make some more of these boards today, but I ran out of time. When it's the morning time before 1 o'clock, it seems like there's a lot of time left before 3 o'clock comes around. Then the next thing I know, it is already here. I watched that, Kathy. I don't usually watch it right away, but I saw that they were working on crumb blocks, and I watched that. I did like all three projects actually. They were fun. Let me get off my butt. I like black fabric, and I also like that gray fabric that's kind of pretty dark, where it, from a distance, it kind of looks like it's black, but when you get up close and you look at it, it's really actually like that smoky gray. So here's my fancy schmancy board, and I have the yellow version to go with this under the water theme fabric. But I think today, unless we don't need to sew those, I'm going to sew the purple. So I thought that would be fun. So this is directional fabric, which when I stitch it, it's not going to matter. But when I put it into the quilt, of course, it's going to matter. Misty's. I didn't watch her make it. I just kind of caught it at the end, and then I had to walk away to do something. But yes, she had the one with the curves and stuff. I really like taking them and not just, well, I love my curtains. If I were to make a quilt, I would really want to do something to change it up and not, boy, there's always threads on crumb blocks, and not have it just for a wild and crazy quilt. So I do like the ones when they change them up a little bit. Plus, if you've made enough for the big one, you could, work your way through all of them. So if you've made so many of your crumb blocks for the first time around, when you're doing Jenny's quilt, and you still have some left over, then you can go ahead and do Misty's quilt. Have you been watching her At Home with Misty or whatever it's called? I watched the first one when she made that wall hanging. I talked to my patrons about it too. I just really love houses in a project, especially in like a wall hanging, and I just love the way she made them, and they're on that little arch and everything. So I thought that was just really great. That is definitely on my to make list. All right, so here's my problem. These boards, these are really great and everything, but, okay, so what do we make this? I made it 18 inches or whatever, so now what do I do with it? Where do I put it? Oh, the threads, I'm like covered in threads, and that doesn't bother me, but those little threads that pop up in the project, they drive me crazy. You guys don't know how many times I have to edit that out. So welcome to everyone that's popping in. I missed several of you that came through. So where do you guys store these? Do you just put them like on the top of a shelf or something? Now here in my craft room, everything is fuzzy. I need to take all of my mini quilts down and give them a good cleaning. At least put them through the dryer and see if the fuzz will come off of them. Everybody is just covered in like batting and fiber fuzz and stuff like that, and it's just getting a little bit outrageous here. So for now, I'm just going to stick this out of the way and hope that the cats don't find it, because they would love to put their claws in that. I flipped this over to the dark side. I hope it doesn't bother anyone. It looks okay to me on my computer. I have been struggling, I'll tell you. A couple people mentioned it and they were right. I sew a lot of things, cut a lot of fabrics that are purple, and the purple matches perfectly on the other side, and I'm totally out of luck. I was cutting on this to try to cut those black corners for the crumbs. I couldn't see that either. So what I've been doing is, depending on the size, I either bring in this little mat, these are one of the ones you can pick up at the Dollar Tree. So I either bring this in, and it feels just like an Olfa mat, really good, and it's got pretty good reviews. So I've been using this to cut all those black squares, or I'll bring in another cutting board. So that's a little deterrent. I don't think I've really had a problem with like the Olfa one where you're cutting any type of green on it. I just can't remember having this problem. These colors just must be too similar to colors that we use regularly. So my purple fabric is the blender, and it looks pretty similar almost on both sides, but I'm going to flip over to the back. Now, of course, if you want, you can use any color. You want to flip it over to the back side or use the front, it doesn't matter. If it looks nice from the back, go ahead and use that. I think something like this would be fun too if you used multiple colors all the way around it. Now, of course, I have my 12.5-inch block, and based on my formula where you divide it by 3, so I'll go over it really quick in case you didn't watch the video this morning. This is a 12.5-inch block. When we put it in the quilt, it'll finish at 12 inches. So then at that point, we need to divide it by 3 to find out the size of our squares, because they're considering this to be basically a 9 patch. So if you divide it by 3, you'll get 4. But you have to have seam allowances. You can't just cut your corners at 4. So we bring that seam allowance back, so you have a 1/4 inch on either side, which is a 1/2 inch. So all of these squares were cut at 4.5 inches. But you can cut them, really, you can cut them anything you want. I've seen just little 2.5 or 3.5 inch squares in there. It's gonna work out fine. I was gonna say as long as all 4 are the same, but really all 4 don't even have to be the same. Yeah, check it out, Gwenny. They had a really good video today. Yeah, got give us yet, but yeah, check it out. I'm trying to figure out where I put my writing utensil. I don't know. I'll get another one. That's what I was doing while I was waiting for you guys, trying to decide what writing utensil will I use. I haven't sewn crumbs in a little bit, and I was just thinking, watching the video, that I really been missing it. I've actually been watching a few crumb videos lately that have really caught my eye. Now you guys saw me use this ruler, so I'm going to put this one aside and use something different. So in case you don't have that, I'll just bring out my 9.5 inch ruler. And I'm going to line it up so that my writing utensil is going to draw the line from corner to corner. I don't have, oh, this is not the one I want. I like to use a fine tipped pen. I used to use like a mechanical pencil, but I couldn't see it on this block when I was testing it out. So I take a fine tipped pen, make sure it works, and I'm going to draw tip to tip. Now if my pen or my utensil is really thick, sometimes I'll move the ruler a little bit off the point, because I want to draw it directly on the point. Now there are things you can put on your sewing machine that will make that line for you, and you won't have to do it. Hi Cheryl, and you don't have to draw the lines. And Jenny Doan from Missouri, as we're talking about her, she showed us that you can fold it in half and just stitch in the fold. I have a hard time following the fold. I can't always see it with my eye, so I tend to get a little off. So I'm just going to mark that center stitch line down each of these blocks. Some people are really good and they can eyeball it, especially with the 2.5 inch squares, but I cannot eyeball it. I tried, but that just doesn't work for me. Sorry about the scratchy pen noise. I find it works better for me if I do this than I try to just draw a straight line, but it's probably not nice for your ears. Let's see, I'll go slow. There was a comment on the video, I haven't had to do this in a while, but you can put sandpaper down, like a fine grit sandpaper. Some people make the boards like this, and they put sandpaper on it, and then they can put this down on it, and sandpaper will hold it. The fine grit stuff will hold your fabric, so that when you're drawing your line, your fabric won't move and it won't bunch up and do anything weird. Jody, that's what I used on the black squares, the wax pencil. The only thing is it has to get sharpened a lot, because I need to have a nice sharp line going through here. But I'll show you what she's talking about. Jody sent me this fun little gift. It is the Ultimate Marking Pencil. It irons off. Now I haven't let me see. I guess I did test if it ironed off, because I ironed the pieces. Yep, it disappears when you iron it off. But this works really well on, if you have to mark on black fabric. It works really well, so you can see it. And you can sharpen it in like a pencil sharpener. More like a crayon sharpener, because this is a little bit larger than a pencil. So those little kids' crayon sharpeners, or most of them come with the giant hole and the regular hole. But Jody sent me a fun one. Check out this pencil sharpener. Isn't that fun? It's that rubbery stuff, but it has a little pencil sharpener inside. So that was really fun. I keep that in my pencil sharpener drawer area. Now everyone, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to send you guys all out to buy something new. Yeah, Yes, exactly, Gwenny. It's hard to see underneath the sewing machine. And if you're doing, if I only had to do one, I could probably do it. And you have to make sure too that you fold it wrong sides together, because if you do it right sides together, you'll have a hump. You'll have that lump there. So you need to make sure you're sewing in the valley and not in the mountains. Yeah, I think for me, it's like the shadows and stuff like that. It just gets to the point where it makes it hard to see. And I really don't want to have to wear magnifying lenses while I'm sewing. I have to do it enough while I'm doing other hand needleworks and stuff. So I don't know if you can see it, but here's my line going diagonally, and I'm going to put it on my corner, and I'm going to scooch it up, and I'd rather go one thread over than one thread inside. But I'm trying to line it up just perfectly so I can't see any of the blue fabric underneath. I showed you guys that I pinned it this way, so this time I'm going to pin it this way. This corner is the one that is going to be attached, so I'm going to put my pin there. You can also put a pin here, but I found it's not too bad. I just need to watch to make sure when I start sewing that I just take the second and realign everything up. But if I put a second one in, let's see if it'll sit still and behave. Yeah, see now if you put two pins in, if you have problems with your fabric moving, pop that second pin in. Exactly, Teresa. So I look at them and I'm like, But when you see other people using it in a video and they're honest about it, that's the thing. I don't want to do like, I get enough people that send me emails wanting me to show you guys certain products and stuff, and most of the time they don't have anything to do with quilting, so I don't show you, or I don't do them. But if you're going to do a product, you want to make sure you're giving an honest review. I don't care if someone's paying for it. I won't take anything on unless I can say, hey, I'm going to be totally honest, because I'll tell you, like this mat, I love the mats. Here, okay, speaking of the mats, here's another weird thing that I noticed, and there's absolutely nothing wrong. I just haven't seen this with my other mats. When I'm sitting here in the morning at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning and I open up my curtains that you see behind me, they're right over there. The sun comes shining in really, really hot. And I just noticed the other day that it made the mat just kind of bubble up a little bit in this really long way. But once I closed up the curtains, it went back down flat and it was no problem. I've never had that problem before, even in the hot Florida summers and stuff, where my mats did anything at all. But it went right down. It's so it's not a problem or anything. But I think if you were sewing non-stop in front of a window, that might be something to consider. So I wonder if that's a problem with other mats, because most of the time I'm basically sewing in a cave with that curtain closed because it's just too hot to leave it open. I do like to watch the traffic go by though. That's a favorite of mine. Oh, that's funny, Sue. I put on extra. Well, I don't put on extra. I want to get one of those lights that have the magnifying. They have those nice, I think it's an OttLight that has it, where you get the nice bright light, but then it has a magnifying arm that you can pull out. I have a magnifying lens thingy that clips onto like if you're doing embroidery, it clips right onto your hoop and stuff like that, but it's not always convenient. Okay, so we have everything there. Well, the mats have to be stored flat. I keep my old ones up on end like this, but that causes them to have a little bit of a curve, but since I'm only using them for batting, it doesn't matter. Your mats have to lay flat. If they get any kind of out of shape to them, they're going to stick like that. And if you put it like in the trunk of your car, I know in the trunk of your car, it'll make like a big bowl out of it. I don't think it's going to matter too much now that I'm aware of it. I just put something down. I put one of the other mats down on it when I open up the curtains in the morning. And once April comes, it won't matter because the curtains will be closed all the time. Oh, I missed something about dressmaker's chalk. I I've seen people that use like a sliver of soap too to mark things. I thought that was really interesting. You know, and people that make dressmaking and are only bag makers and stuff, they do things a lot differently than us quilters do. Hi Lisa, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're glad you can make it. You're tardy though, so we're gonna have you write 5 times. I will not be tardy to the live stream. I will not be tardy to the live stream. Or if you're gonna be tardy, you should bring cookies for everybody. I am battling such a sweet tooth. I am trying to avoid going to the store because I just want to buy all the candy and all the cookies, but I can't seem to get rid of it. Thanks, Gwenny. Oh, you clip your mats right to it, yeah. Well, yeah, because and then they're free hanging. They're not like leaning up against the wall or anything like that. We bought Robbie a trundle bed, and that's a twin bed on top, and when you pull out the drawers, you can have another twin bed that was actually a full mattress underneath. When he moved out, he didn't want the bed because he's 6'5", 6'7" now, and the bed is actually head to toe for me, and I'm like 5'7". So he's way too tall for it. He went and I bought him another bed, so he's fine now. But he left that one at home. And it's this really heavy duty wooden captain's bed, so I kept it. It's just me in it, so a little twin mattress is fine for me. But when you pull the trundle out, I don't have a mattress in there. I keep all my good mats in there so it just lays flat. And then I close the drawers so the cats don't get it, the dust doesn't get to it or anything like that. So that's where I store my mats. Hi, Kathy. Out of the way is good. Those pants hangers are good too for hanging up your quilt tops to keep them out of the way. All right, let me put my machine back to the center. So we're not doing a 1/4 seam or anything. We're going to stitch right down that line. I have my little piece of cheater fabric or on a 3M hook. Yes, but mine, yeah, none of mine have holes. I don't have holes in my mats. I wonder if these do. Let me peek. Okay, yes, the Fiskars have a hole in them, yeah. This one doesn't have a hole in the top, and my Alpha ones don't have holes in the top. That works too, yeah. As long as you can like hang it, and the sun, of course, isn't hitting it. But you guys are battling winter right now. You would love to have a little bit of sunshine. Oh, that's smart, Gwenny. Come on, you can't expect me to be that smart and talking at the same time. I can't think and talk at the same time. Not gonna happen. So I'm just starting right there. I'll lose my foot pedal every time. And I'll stitch down here. Just make sure it gets started. Now, when I did the little black corners on the crumbs, I just chain pieced them one right after the other. Now, I'm doing my best to stay right on the line. If you get off the line, then your triangle isn't going to fold over your corner properly. So if you go off the line a little bit, you want to hope maybe you go to the outside, right? Let me see. Oh, this is the piece that folds over. Yeah, I know, just stay on the line. One way or the other, if it's just a little bit, you're not too bad, but if you really veer off, I'd say to stop, pick out your threads, and to start over. But this is why you want to have a thin line that goes straight down. If it's a thick line, then just stay in the center. So now I could put another little scrap piece in here, or I could cut my threads, but I kind of do this thing where I bring this corner, pull this out a little bit, and I just bring the corner around and make sure everything's staying in place so that I'm not in a wrong spot. So you have to be really careful that nothing is shifted, and then I'll just sew this one. I didn't show it to you this morning on the video because I thought it's probably not the best thing to show you, but I'm going to do it now and tell you it's not the best thing to do, but if you're careful, it works. But with a video titled Beginner Friendly, it's not what I wanted to show. So I'm sewing on my Juki again. I had a feeling you might, Gwenny. I was waiting for you. I had a feeling. Because otherwise, if you're not chain piecing, you're constantly cutting the thread and starting over or doing a leader ender or something. And it's just, I don't know, it's too much. And then I'll stop. Come on. There you go. Hi, Judy. Northern California. You guys having a nice winter, or are you guys having these random strange weather? I know weather is bad when they actually show it on my news. Oh, yeah. They were talking about Illinois and Iowa and Ohio. Boy, that just sounded weird. Snip those threads. And I'll bring over my iron. This is the TV dinner tray iron that I use when I'm doing with fusibles. And then I just put a wool mat on top of it and it protects my table and the mat underneath. I lost my block. Oh, thank you, Sherry. I forgot we were going to do that. We need to sew the second one to get our bonus triangles or bonus half square triangles and sew our second one. So let's mark that. That's our next step. Thank you so much for keeping me in line. I get easily distracted and get lost. So I'm going to use my ruler. I have a 6.5 inch ruler. It's going to fit on the square. And I'm going to line my 1/2 inch up on my stitching line. And I will draw a second one. And that'll give me a 1/4 inch seam for my block and a 1/4 inch seam for my half square triangle. Let's try a different writing utensil today. Let's see if we have... I have these nice Sharpie pens that have, they're very liquidy. I like how they write. So just mark a 1/2 inch. Some people will eyeball it, but if I want to use it in a project, I kind of want them all to be the same. So I'd rather take the short amount of time it takes to mark this and make sure everybody's good. Now some people use the foot on their machine and they can do that. I've never been able to do that. I struggle with drawing the line down the center and stitching a 1/4 inch from either side. I always draw both lines because it just doesn't work out for me. Maybe I should go back to stitching with my brother. It's a lot lighter. I almost sat on the ironing board. Well, you guys come here for the entertainment just as much as the sewing, I believe. Catch up. Base of Feather River Canyon. Oh. You're down, you get some crazy stuff even when people are having normal weather nearby. You get some strange weather, don't you? It's a bonus, Gwenny. You gotta have the highlight. Plus, I'm just really I don't know where I'm going with this, but I appreciate that you guys keep me in line so I don't forget what I'm doing. Stop for a second to make sure I was supposed to stitch right on the line. Hi, Terry. So I'm going to stitch right on the line now, and that's going to give me that bonus half square triangle. I find that stitching it now take the time to stitch it now, because if you say, I'll just cut it off and I'll stitch it later, I'll put it in this bin and I'll get to it later. Well, when you get to it later, you're looking at that bin going, oh my God, why did I wait so long? Now I've got 1,000 of these triangles, none of them are matched up, the sizes don't mix. If you just sew it, then you can put it in a bin and worry about squaring it up and doing that stuff later. But I would sew it, definitely. So here we'll do, see now if I do this, it's like, if you cut it, you're constantly making that loud, annoying noise that drives me crazy. And then sometimes the thread will get tangled up underneath, or the needle will come unthreaded. So I take it slow to start with. You can take your bonus half square triangles and make a little sewing mat. So that's why I like to just do this. When you get out to these, it's a lot easier. You have more room to pivot. But I say whatever is comfortable for you. Exactly, Gwenny. I tried that. I think we got a troll, guys. Yeah, right, Teresa? Sew it now. I'm just trying to help out those of you that haven't done it before. I don't want to be the one that says, hey, listen to us, you have to do it our way. But let's just give you a little advice here and say, hi, Chris. Let's just give you a little advice and say, just in case, maybe you might want to try this. And here's why. I don't mind, people can tell me what to do all the time, as long as they, thanks Sue, as long as they tell me why. Give me a reason why, and then I'll know, okay, is this something for me or not? And I don't mind, you guys have seen me, I test out all kinds of stuff and use it for something else, cut the fabric back up, throw it in the trash, whatever. That's why I make practice blocks first. Yeah, it's fun, and I didn't want to do it from the little small ones. I do save those bits and pieces, but I didn't want to do the half square triangles, because the whole thing with scraps is you have to know what you're going to use. And I know that with little 2.5 inch squares, that bonus half square triangle, I'm not going to use. I've saved that. I've used those before, and I don't like squaring them up all those seams. Iced tea break. Green tea with honey and lemon. I do cheat and I buy this powdered mix from 4C, I think it is. But if you're not going to use it, is anyone watching Just Get It Done Quilts with her organization, and she's showing you how to get your sewing room back under control? I'm watching it, but I'm fine because I've already done everything she said. I'm already past that. I feel, I don't want to brag, but I feel really good. You guys have seen my room. It stayed the same like this for the longest time. This is the first time I've managed to make a setup for myself that I actually enjoy, and it works. So the little scrap system, it's just finding your scrap system and making sure it's going to work for you. So I'm lining it up on the 1/4 inch. On this first stitch line, I'm going to line my ruler up at the 1/4 inch marks, just so I can cut in between the two and know that the seam allowances are even. In the past, I've had problems and had only like 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, which will work, but you have to be careful. Something's noisy. They are building so many houses around me. You do want to still have enough seam allowance that it's not going to fray and disappear when you make your project. I know Sue's been trying to get her craft room under control and everything. I think we go through phases. We go through these times where we're just like so busy and working so hard and making things that we just don't have time to get things organized and clean. But once you are organized and things are going good, then it works out really well, because then there's really, what my grandmother always said is, a place for everything and everything in its place really does now make sense now that I'm older. So I've already went and pressed the seams, but I'm going to press them again. Now I'm going to press, mine away from the center block. You can do the little finger press. I do that with the smaller ones just to make sure everything's good. Because I'm sure because we cut everything in half, we've got to have a bias in there. Even though it's stitched across, you still don't want to stretch out that little bit. And I have my wooden block that I love still. One of the, well, I don't want to say my best gift, but I really love this thing. Getting messages all over. Exactly, Sue. You have to know what you will and won't use. And I think many of us, when we first start, we don't know, so we save everything. But then it gets overwhelming. And when I first started this channel and doing with the scraps and everything, I get a lot of comments where you have to save this, and you can make this with that, and save it for this. And I hope other people see it in the comments and they're like, oh, great idea. But for me, I don't want to make a dog bed with all the little stuffs in it. My animal places down here, they've never accepted that. They don't want it. It becomes too, with the heat and the humidity and stuff, it gets really hard and it bunches up in weird places and they have a hard time washing it and stuff, so they never see that. You've never seen the Snowball block? This is one of my favorites. I like to like a snowman applique in here, and on like a white fabric, and then put blue squares in the corner. But that's it. Now you've now just made a fancy quilt. You just added simple little corners to it, and really there was nothing to it. Now in this morning's video, I put links to Pat Sloan's videos where she goes and explains about placing it and making sure everything's lined up and you don't have edges and crookedness and stuff like that. She's actually the one that, I watched that video. There was one of them, I think it was 2, 3, 4 years ago, and I watched that one and I was like, oh, that makes sense. And look, I almost have a perfect block. I have this little piece, this part here on this corner, this tip right here went in a little bit, and this part sticked out. So if I was really concerned about using this in a quilt, I might have wanted to do something about that. I don't know if you can see. A lot of times you can see just with your eye that if you follow this line, I can see this one right here. It kind of went goofy on me. You can look if you didn't use a heat erase thing, and I mean it looks like I'm on there, but for what I'm going to do, it's fine. And with that little bit, you can usually fudge it too and get it to work. Oh, the wooden block, the quilter's clapper. Oh, sorry. I say a lot of people have seen the Snowball box. Yeah, I've been using this a lot lately, and it makes a big difference. And for crumb blocks like this, these crumb blocks I made during the time when I made the original video and my curtains, so 3 or 4 years ago. So they were all kind of sticking up everywhere, so I gave them a nice steamy press with the iron, and then I just put this block on it like this, and it made everything lay nice and flat. They're a little expensive. This one's got a little bit of heft to it, but you can get a piece of wood for, you know, at the Lowe's or whatever, Home Depot, the lumber place or something. And that's really all it is. It's just well sanded. There's no finish on it or anything. That's just got their name wood burned into it. All right, let's do the half square triangles since we didn't do them this morning. Let's go ahead and work on them now. Yes. Does sometimes, yeah, it depends on what you're doing. Sometimes it makes it easier to part with them, especially like if you have like, these are bonus things that a lot of people will throw away. So if you turn, oh my God, Dorothy Hamilton, grab her too, Sue, please and thank you. So since a lot of people would just throw these away no matter what size they are, it's nice to have them to turn into another quilt. And then, as you said, it's easy to part with them too. Thank you, Sue. So you can decide which way you're going to press these, or you can press them open. I like to do the little finger one that I learned from Just Get It Done Quilts. I struggled with the pressing, and it almost sounds like depressing. I struggled with pressing my blocks, but doing the little finger thing first has made a huge difference, especially when I'm doing my scraps and I'm just sewing the 1.5-inch squares or strips. It really makes a big difference. Then I put that on there, and it's going to set that seam and make it lay down. I was trying, fingers weren't fast enough. You're fine. I just wasn't sure if you noticed or not. So my apologies if I sound like you're not doing your job. I just thought I'd point it out just in case you were chatting and didn't see it. Did we lose Jackie? Is Jackie still here? So yeah, stop. Remember, use my fingers, because otherwise I get a weird seam and it gets serpentine. So while this isn't all that exciting, because I wanted the purple mostly for the block because it had the purple fish in it, whatever you use this in, it's going to work out fine. And as someone suggested and commented on the original video this morning, to use them for the back of the quilt. I do love taking the leftovers and putting them onto the back. I like them just a little off center, because if you put them in the center, you have to be perfect. But if you take all of your scraps and your leftover blocks and you make one long strip the height of your quilt, I put it a little off to the left. I never to the right for whatever reason. I always like to put it to the left. And then it just adds that bit of fun color to the back of your quilt. Put this where I won't sit on it this time. Now when we're squaring up our half square triangles, I'll bring in my fancy expensive tool here. I'm just looking where I've got a pile up of rulers over here. Oh, yeah, Kathy, have you tried the used bookstores online? There's a couple of them that are really good, and a lot of times they'll have the books. I have one. I have one, she's wearing like a tuxedo, and it's like a night and day quilt or something like that. I picked that one up at either it was sent to me, I picked it up at a thrift store. I can't remember at this point. Yeah, sometimes you can get really lucky if, like in my area, I'm going to get a better ruler. In my area, if the people that are checking in this stuff aren't quilters, then it makes it to the shelves. If they're crafty type people, then all of that doesn't make it to the shelf and I never see it. But sometimes I get lucky and I find something random. So I have my, please tell me it's a 45-degree line that goes down like that. I'm going to line that up right on my block. I put a link in this morning's video on trimming these up. I'm looking at it. If I look at it and line it up and go tip up here, this one is just shy of 3/4 inch, 3 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to trim it down to 3.5 inches. I don't have a use for 3 3/4. So I line my center line up right on the center, and every time I do this, I'm always going to put the purple on the left. Whatever fabric you do, it's up to you, but I like the one where here's where my fold is, so this is what I consider the higher fabric. So I like to put it there. That's the side that I press my seam allowance to. I like to have that up at the top. And when I look, make sure down here that my 3.5 inch line is on the fabric, so I'm going to trim off the excess. And when I look up here, I'm going to make sure I have something to trim off up here, or that it's perfectly lined up. You're welcome, Kathy. All right, so I'm putting my head down so I'm not catching any of the comments. So if anyone has a question, can you answer Terry? I'm making art quilt to hang, no big. What can you recommend as batting? Do I need the good stuff for a wall hanging? No, you don't need the good stuff. You don't need to use anything at all. You can put in a piece of, personally, I don't like the, oh, what is that thick, fluffy, you get on the live stream and I can't remember words. I would use a thinner batting. I don't like that polyester thick stuff that's really cheap that you can buy. I like something that's flat and compressed for an art quilt. I like something that's easy to stitch through, but you can use flannel. You can put a piece of fleece in there. You could put a piece of felt in there. A lot of people who make a little art quilt, they actually just put felt inside because it's nice and thin and it's easy to hand stitch through. Like Teresa, I use leftover pieces of batting. You just need to be careful that if the top of your art quilt, you won't see where you stitch the batting together, or you won't see that shadow where the two of them go. So a lot of times with an art quilt, I'll do the Franken piece with the S, so it's not a straight line, so that it's not noticeable. But you can really get away with just using felt. I would just say I would use something thin. Polyester batting, that's what I was thinking of. I don't like that because it's really floofy like, and it's hard to stitch through, and it doesn't lay flat. For an art quilt, I like flat stuff. Oh, fusible fleece. Yes, that's the other one, Jackie. Thank you. If you're not generally doing like quilts and you don't want to get a big thing of batting, you can buy the small crafters one. If you look at Amazon, I've been picking up twin size or even craft size of the Warm, and it's from the Warm Company. I buy Warm and Natural, and it's a beigey color, and it's really nice and thin. I've been using that for my tote bags, but you can get a twin size for $15.99 on Amazon. And that's directly from the Warm Company, their Amazon shop. So it's not like I'm selling it to you or Amazon selling it to you. It comes right from their shop. So it's a really good price. A fusible fleece, that if I was going to just make art quilts, I would go with the fusible fleece. That would be my first choice. And use a coupon if you're going to get it from Joann's, because sometimes their price is just a little bit higher than where you can get them elsewhere. So I just trim off that little bit, spin it around, so now the purple is on the right. And I'm going to line up the black line down the center, and on the edge of my fabric, I'm going to put it at the 3.5 mark. And I want to make sure wherever I put it, that black line is staying straight down the center. So I can see it, and I just take a moment to line everything up. And really, this is what made the biggest difference for me. I made a lot of pinwheel projects and quilts in the beginning, and I just to meet in the center, because what you want, if you've done everything just right, you see how there's both fabrics in the point of the center there in my corner? That's what you're looking for, and that's the only way I found to be able to do that. Yep, felt if you have that, I would say use what you have, but if you're going out and buying stuff, I would go with the fusible fleece, because that will hold, if you put it right to your backing fabric, it's going to hold your backing right there, and it's just going to make it easier. Yes, keep an eye on Amazon. They just have random sales every day. There's a thing you can put, if you put things in a wish list, and then there's a thing online that I have to think of what the name of it is. It'll pop in my head later. But when the price goes lower, they send you an email and tell you that the price has gone lower. So I just trim off the sliverest of a bit on that side, flip it over, because now I've got all these wonky edges over there. So when I line this up, and I trim off the extra. This is why when I make an actual half square triangle, I always bump mine up an inch. I don't do that 7/8 of an inch or anything like that. I always go all the way, because I'd rather trim it back and make sure everything's lined up right. You're welcome. Oh, there's something sticky on there. That's what's a fun thing about coming to the live streams. You can ask a question and answer right away. I've been collecting things for art quilts, and I just haven't gotten to that point where either my brain isn't free thinking on that day, or I just don't have the time. But that is my goal. So I just make my tote bags kind of, sort of, not really an art quilt. They're just my mini quilts, so I don't have to make a full-size quilt, and I still have fun of making things. There we go. I did get to play with some scraps this week. You'll see what I did in the WiP It Wednesday coming up. Nothing exciting, but sometimes it's nice to just take an hour and just play and not do anything. Oh, I don't do that, Lisa. Now, if I'm really close, see, the thing is, you have to, I always have to go, okay, if the shipping is $5.99, but I have to get free shipping, for me, that doesn't make sense. So I don't. I had to learn that lesson, because in the past, it was always like, well, free shipping, I gotta get free shipping. That, and you can't order just a fat quarter because it can't travel alone in the mail. It'll be sad. No, that's not how that works. Sounds good, though. So now you can do anything you want with these. Add them to your collection. Sew them into a little 4-piece. I have to change the resolution on my picture because I can't see what I'm doing. It's like everything's blurry. Oh, nope, it's at 720. Is anything blurry for you? Good, maybe it's just my eyeballs. Anyway, I like to line them up like this and just make that simple 4 patch. And as you saw this morning, you can turn them in and do the square and a square. If you don't like to do the math of that, you can just go ahead and make your own square and a square. And if you think about it, and you have to have one of each fabric in the center, and then you can make a pinwheel. But you just have to make sure that you do every other fabric, and then that'll give you a pinwheel. I had this one kit that I won a couple of years ago. Well, it was before Rob passed away, so I know we're coming up closer, you know, it's over 2 years ago. But I have this little kit that I won from a blog. I showed it a long time ago when I got it, but it has all of these fun things so you can make your own. Thank you, Marjorie. It has like everything you need to make your own little mini art thing. So it even has this thing so you can do your letter. It's called a mess kit, and you can put your letter on it, and it has, you've got your little fusible thing. What is that? My stabilizer. It's got ribbon and embroidery thread. I've got some wool in it. It's got all the beads and the little whatnots. You have some yarn. I've actually knit with this yarn, which I thought was pretty funny. Some more floss. And then there's my thank you. And then you just have a bunch of fabrics. So this is why I said, they say a lot of the people do it with felt. So you can just do, this is your usual, this is 8x10. So you just take this piece of black felt and you can just start building off of it, or you could put a piece of fabric on top. So this one is to do like your letter, your initial. And then they have the one that's like grout. So you put your fabrics down so that you leave a bit of the black showing in between for grout lines and stuff like that. So I've been holding on to this and waiting for that moment that says, let's sit down and have some fun and play with fabric. I love this fabric because it has the little buttons to go with it too, the little Matryoshka dolls there. So it has a couple buttons and everything. So one day I'm going to sit down and we're going to work on something like this. I'll probably do a practice one first because I haven't decided if I want to just do a letter, or I'm looking at it, I kind of want to do the one that looks like the mosaic tile. I really like that. welcome, Renee. Yeah, I think a starter kit's a great idea. Now you're gonna pay for it. Like this one is $35, and this one, let's see if she put a date on this. No, this was from, so this is probably, let's say 3 to 4 years ago. So I'm sure there's a possibility that the price may have gone up, but other places might have a different price. But I thought that was really great to get one of the little starter kits where you get a little bit of beads and you get a little bit of thread and floss. So if you don't have that type of stash. Now I have that type of stash because I'm multi-crafter and I can't pick one craft. So I got some buttons and I love beads. You guys don't know how much I love beads. That's why I want to get to the point where I can do this and do it on my tote bags and just put beadwork on it and put some embroidery stitches, so that one tote bag might take me, you know, a couple weeks to do because of all the hand stitching and everything. So I keep this in my shipping station. I actually keep it where it's nice and safe. These are the little clear sleeves. I put your zipper bags in and everything before I mail them, and it just sits there and it doesn't go underneath anything. I just, every time I ship something, I have to touch this to get one of these out. So I always remind myself that don't forget about this project. You're going to have to do it. You have to work on that. It's important. All right, does anyone have any questions? Do you need to see anything else? Do you want to talk about anything else? Should we do the 6.5 inch block? This kind of looks like a medical thing. Yeah, Kathy, I can't help myself. I love doing beaded embroidery to do those pins and stuff. I dabbled in that for a little bit and I fell in love with it. I would love to make why is that word always so hard? The brooches, and to make pins and stuff like that. That is just the thing. But I need to have something that I can put on my table with a good light and a magnifier, because even with new glasses, I know I need that deep magnification to see, to take that little bead and the thread and everything to get it on. But I love doing beaded embroidery. I can cruise that. Have you guys seen on Instagram where people make like sceneries? They'll put a whole bunch of bushes and flowers, and they have like a little river with a person in a canoe, and it's all done with beads and embroidery thread, embroidery floss. I love that. I just have to be careful because I buy a lot of beads and they just sit there because I run out of time. Uh-oh. Are we good? Did we get the spinning wheel of death? Yeah, like the medical cross thing, right? The Red Cross. Ha 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 ha. You know, sometimes words at the end of the day, they're just not bad. They're not good, you know. Yeah, I mean, don't you like that? So it's again, does anyone have any questions about this, about anything else? We have a wide selection of people that are in the chat and watching. So many of us, we're all good. Everyone, no spinning wheel? Okay, I got a spinning wheel on my little laptop here, my little Chromebook. I received a gift that was so generous that someone had purchased the clips that I had on my Amazon wish list. So I normally keep it in this container, but it had overflowed. Oh, look at all those fun colors. I mean, I always go for the purple and I love the blue. But I brought out this dish that I've shown before, but I just love it so much. Someone had actually made this, and there's a star. And I've been putting my clips in this now. I'm just so afraid. I'm trying to be careful and just only keep it in one spot and not move it around so that I don't break it. Oh no. That's hard. It's easier to chat on the phone, but it's hard to see anything. So I've got nothing else for you guys. So unless you want to see something or hear something else, I think we'll just go ahead and call it an end for today. Now the next block that is coming up, we are going to be doing the half square triangles. So if you haven't made these, I have the videos linked in this morning, so you might want to refreshen yourself up a little bit on trimming them. We are going to make, I'm going to draw the block and you guys tell me what it is. I always forget the names. I forget the names of people too. Wendy should know this one. Right, so we have the half square triangle. Then we have this block here, the half square triangle. And then we come down here. Watch my drawing skills, they're amazing. You guys are going to be so amazed at what I can do. Churn dash, is that what this is? Is that a churn dash? Whatever that is, that's what we're doing. Oh, you know what? The kitties don't care about the clips. Miss Mocha is the only one that messes with anything. Churn dash. Thank you, Gwenny. I knew you'd because I like this one, and I like how you can have, you can have the two fabrics there and have that also. And then is the monkey wrench the same one? Is that just a shoe fly? As I say, there's churn dash, shoe fly, and monkey wrench. And they're all pretty close, if not the same. Thank you. I appreciate all the thumbs up. Yeah, I don't know what my kitties don't bother with these. Maybe if I allowed S'moresy to get on the table, she might like them. She loves wooden clothespins. She likes to bat things around on the floor. I tend to buy her baby toys, like the plastic rings that interlock. She loves those, and I've gotten the little springs that she loves those. Yes, I thought we would do this, and this would get us into the half square triangles. And then we can just start working from there. I know we're gonna do, because I love also any of the star blocks. Star, because once we can do half square triangles, we can do so many things. That's okay, Renee. There's always gonna be someone here that speaks the language for us. I get on here and I forget words because my brain gets going so fast. The shoe fly quilt pattern doesn't have the vertical blocks. Okay. Churn dash has rectangles. Yeah, I like them. We're going to do the simple version. And of course, I will make sure all the names are and I write them down next to me so that when I'm talking to you guys, or I stop the video, or if you notice like at the bottom of the screen, I'll add words because I said something not right and I'll correct myself. Yeah, there's always someone that maybe they're watching on the replay and they have a question, or sometimes people are a little nervous and they're afraid to ask the question. But look, if I'm already making a fool of myself and not knowing what I'm talking about, you guys can ask anything you want. Bye, Kathy. Thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, no, the kitties don't care about that. They don't mess with too much at all. Miss Mocha, the only thing I do have to do is I have to keep my pins in a little Tupperware container because I have one cat. She's my white calico. She's 8 years old, and she likes to take her little front teeth and she picks at the pins and throws them on the floor. So I have to make sure that pins are all kept like this because this room is closed at night. If I'm not in here, the door is closed. But if I stop to go make lunch, or if I go to use the restroom, get the mail, I have to make sure everything is secure. So when I'm not using the pins, they're always closed up like this. Or when the kids were here and they were all eating cold meat, I have these pins that I keep in here, and other ones I keep in a drawer. She's done this so many times. I caught her the other day. She does something and she either finds a little scratch in the wall or creates one of her own, and she takes the drywall and it with her teeth, so she's my brat. Well, we're going to try a bunch of different quilt patterns. You can go on Pinterest and just look at quilt blocks. They are everywhere. There are hundreds of them, and they all have different names. Bye, Teresa. Yeah, quilters love to talk. They love to talk and then, you know, to discuss it with new people and everything like that. But I'm going to let you guys go. We are going to do this block on our next live. Now, our next live won't be until February 4th, because remember, I go on the 1st and 3rd Friday of the month. So in February, it's going to be the 4th and the 18th. So I hope you guys can come back. Now, in between, we're going to work on something. I have a special project coming up for you on Friday that is going to use something. Maybe we'll use this one, our 6.5-inch block, one of these. So we're going to go ahead and do a project that uses a 6.5-inch block. There's something going on right now around YouTube. It's this trend where nobody knows what the other YouTubers like. Nobody knows what I plan to record next week or 2 weeks from now. And sometimes I record my videos weeks in advance. But all of a sudden my video will pop up on Friday. And then Friday afternoon, Saturday, and Sunday, I see the same videos pop up. Like all of a sudden everyone's like, this week we're all talking about crumb blocks. It's just something that's in the air. Nobody knows what anyone's going to do. But there's this one project that I've seen a lot of videos just pop up recently. So we're going to do that next week, and I'm going to show you how to use one of your orphan blocks. I love these. It keeps the ants out of it. I have a sugar ant problem at the moment, not that they eat my pins, but it keeps things fresh. I can put cookies in here and leave them in the cabinet, and they stay fresh for, you know, a couple of weeks. I don't know how long, because of course I eat them before they go bad. It keeps potato chips from going stale, so they don't have to sit into their bin with the little clips on it. So these things are really great. I think that's what it is, Gwenny. It's like someone's out there putting the vibes. Like all of a sudden, everyone's doing this. I'll tell you what it is, because when I tell you, you're going to be like, uh-huh. Because I watched Laura Lynn make that little baskets that she was making for everyone, those little containers. I think either I made them with you guys or with my patrons a couple years ago. And I saw 3 other channels the same week make that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump on the bandwagon, and we're going to make one next week. But we're going to use our orphan blocks and then make one of those little fabric bins. Kind of like this. But this one's round. At least Gwenny is using her powers for good and not evil, right? Okay, guys, I'm going to let you go. Enjoy your weekend. Everyone stay safe and stay warm, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.